Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating behavioral divide. You know that one person who shows up, looks at whatever absolute disaster just happened, say a flooded kitchen or a printer that suddenly smells like smoke, and instead of freaking out, they just go quiet for a second. They stay totally calmly capable while everyone else is practically vibrating with panic? Well, we're going to unpack exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how you can actually train your own brain to do the exact same thing. So imagine this highly relatable, incredibly stressful scenario. You wake up, walk into the bathroom, and bam, there's a suddenly leaking pipe and water's everywhere. Or you're running late for work, you turn the key, and you're met with a completely dead car battery. Or maybe it's a corrupted file right before a massive presentation. This brings us to the central question of today's explainer. Why do some people immediately spiral into an emotional panic, while others just take a breath and get straight to work solving it? That really highlights the divide perfectly. For a lot of us, the first visceral instinct might be to just cry, right? Or to frantically start Googling solutions with literal shaking hands. But then you have the fixer's reaction, going quiet, thinking, and acting. And what's truly wild about this contrast is that the difference isn't really about prior experience at all. It's not like that second person is a master plumber or some certified mechanic. No, it's actually a fundamental difference in their psychological wiring. All right, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. 1. The fixer phenomenon. 2. Your locus of control. 3. Tolerance for ambiguity. 4. Coping versus curiosity. And finally, 5. Building your fixing muscle. Part 1. The fixer phenomenon. Understanding self-efficacy. Back in the 1970s, psychologist Albert Bandera identified a concept called self-efficacy. Now, stripping away all the dense academic jargon, self-efficacy is simply the specific belief that you are entirely capable of handling what is right in front of you. And notice, this is not just some general blind optimism. It's highly specific. It's that historically proven, deep-down feeling of, hey, I have handled things before, and this particular thing right in front of me, it's handleable. Bandura actually found that this belief alone dictates how much effort you'll pour into a problem before throwing your hands up and giving up. So where does that belief actually come from? Well, it comes from what Bandura calls mastery experiences. Take a second and try to visualize a childhood memory, the very first time you tried to fix something and it actually worked. Maybe you just wiggled a loose wire and a lamp magically turned on. Or you rebooted the computer and it worked. Maybe you put pressure on a cut and the bleeding stopped. These physical, real-world mastery experiences literally rewire your nervous system. Suddenly, the world isn't just this chaotic thing that happens to you. It's a place you can reach into and change. When disaster strikes, your brain sees a solvable puzzle, not an immediate terrifying threat. Which brings us to part 2, your locus of control. Who is in charge? This concept is known as the locus of control, which was studied extensively by Julian Rotter. It's essentially the degree to which you believe your own actions determine outcomes, rather than just brushing it off to luck or fates or other people. And let me tell you, sitting firmly on the internal end of this scale, meaning you genuinely believe your effort actually matters, is absolutely one of the most protective psychological traits a person can possess. Research consistently shows that these people cope with stress vastly better and are far less likely to be completely dismantled by life's unexpected hurdles. But here is the real secret. Most of these people were not just born this way. It starts when someone hands you agency or, frankly, leaves you absolutely no choice but to find it yourself. It's a learned relationship with uncertainty, forged in our childhood environments. Sometimes it was a super supportive parent who said, I'm not giving you the answer. Let's figure it out together. And other times, it was an absent parent where the kids simply had to learn to help themselves. Interestingly, both of those environments lead to that exact same internal locus of control. Moving on to part 3. Tolerance for ambiguity, sitting in the unknown. Now, here's a surprising nuance. Fixers aren't carrying around some magical guarantee that they know exactly what to do. The difference is their tolerance of ambiguity. It's the ability to sit inside a situation where you do not yet know the answer and just not completely fall apart. Avoiding this ambiguity creates severe psychological strain. People who struggle with it demand fast resolutions, and they just freeze when they can't get them. But the fixer? They've learned to sit in that uncomfortable, in-between space. A great everyday exercise to practice this is by using simple box breathing techniques when a sudden problem hits. Just breathe and allow your nervous system to stay present even when the answer isn't clear yet. Part 4. Coping versus curiosity, the two types of fixers. Putting on my therapist hat for a second, I have to ask a crucial question. Are you fixing to cope? Because for some people who know how to fix everything, emotionally, logistically, practically, fixing is actually a trauma response. It's a behavioral mechanism designed to earn safety and approval. At some point in their past, standing there completely helpless was genuinely historically risky. So their nervous system made a vow: I will never, ever be helpless again.
So we really have to distinguish between these two profiles. The anxious fixer physically cannot relax. They hover, they offer unsolicited advice. An unfixed thing in the room literally feels like an unfixed thing inside of them. But then we have the curious fixer. They fix things out of genuine fascination, loving the process itself, rather than just frantically needing a quick outcome. If you aren't sure which one you are, try using a simple tracking log this week. After you solve a minor problem, jot down how it felt. Did the process bring you an anxious relief or a sense of genuine joy and curiosity? Spending time around curious fixers is incredibly recalibrating because they effortlessly model this absolutely beautiful idea. Broken is not a permanent condition. Not knowing how to do something is just a temporary state. They completely reframe broken items as opportunities for investigative play. They prove in real time that you can sit in ambiguity and actually move a problem forward. And finally, part 5, building your fixing muscle, moving from insight to action. Well, look, if you usually step back and let someone else handle a crisis, I want you to hear this. Outsourcing your broken things isn't a character flaw. It's just a history. It is simply a set of past experiences that taught you that problems are things that just happen to you. I want to empathetically validate that right now. But because it is a learned behavior, it is absolutely something that can be unlearned. You can shift from an external to an internal locus of control and literally rewire your nervous system.
So how do we do that? You do it by following Bandura's architecture for self-efficacy. Tiny, repeatable experiences. Step 1. Start with a small win. Giant heroic fixers are definitely not required here. Step 2. Tighten a single screw. Literally, try simple physical chores that build confidence when completed solo. Things like replacing a furnace filter, plunging a toilet, or recaulking a tub. Step 3. Make the call yourself, instead of waiting for someone else to save you. Create a daily habit tracker or a simple checklist for monitoring these micro wins. Overcoming these minor, everyday obstacles fosters profound emotional resilience over time.
But keep this crucial warning in mind. Awareness without structure becomes just another mental loop. You really need structured daily follow-through so this doesn't just turn into overthinking. Try a specific journaling prompt each evening, like, what was one moment today where I felt capable in the face of a problem? Or institute a weekly review to analyze the small problems you solved and explicitly document your learning process. This ensures that psychological insight translates into actual physical momentum. Which leaves us with one final thought. The world is full of broken things just waiting to be understood. You have the agency to change outcomes, starting with the absolute smallest steps. So, I leave you with this. What small broken thing are you going to approach with curiosity today? Get your hands on a problem, embrace that uncertainty, and just go to work. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.